Today, we're going to be talking about manifesting your dream life, but making sure that you have your thoughts, beliefs, and your actions in complete alignment. So, I want to invite you today into something deeper for a moment, because before we talk about techniques, and before we talk about affirmations or visualizations or any kind of external strategy, it's important to understand that manifesting your dream life is not really about changing circumstances or collecting more information or forcing results into existence, but rather it is about transforming the inner world that quietly and consistently creates your outer experience. So many people believe that manifestation is about wanting something strongly enough or repeating certain phrases or hoping that the universe eventually takes notice of their efforts. But the truth is that manifestation responds not to your desire, not to your wishing, and especially not to your effort, but it does respond to your identity. And that's what we've talked about in many videos before today. But it's all about the version of you that you are being on a moment-to-moment basis. So, in other words, your life does not change because you decide what you want. Your life will only change when you decide who you are. That distinction alone has the power to completely transform the way you approach creating your future. So today we're going to explore what it truly means to align your thoughts, your beliefs, and your actions, and your identity, and how your subconscious and your conscious minds learn to work together instead of against each other, and why your thoughts, feelings, and actions must become congruent if you want lasting change, and how you can begin thinking and feeling from your desired future so that your nervous system and your brain start accepting the future as normal and natural. We're also going to talk about how to stabilize your emotional state in the present moment, why broadcasting lack keeps manifestation away, how your words shape your reality, and why surrendering control is often the missing piece. So let's begin by clarifying how your mind actually works, because without this understanding, manifestation can feel a little bit mysterious, or it can give you inconsistent results. So we want to understand the mechanics of manifestation. So that's where we're going to begin. So your conscious mind is your thinking mind, and it's the logical and analytical part that sets your goals, imagines possibilities, evaluates options, and makes internal choices about what you want to experience in life. It's the part of you that would say things like, I would love to have a better career, or I want more abundance, or I desire a healthier relationship with myself and with others. So while the conscious mind might decide what direction you want to go in, unfortunately, the conscious mind does not run most of your daily life. So we've all heard of the subconscious mind, but that is also known as your emotional mind. And this is where your habits live. And this is also where your conditioned responses are stored, where your self-image resides, and where your automatic behaviors originate. Now, Dr. Joe Dispenza explained that the subconscious mind controls approximately 95% of who you are on a daily basis, meaning unless you intentionally reprogram it, then you're just going to recreate the same emotional reactions, the same patterns, and the same outcomes simply because they feel familiar to your nervous system. The subconscious mind does not learn through logic, but it does learn through repetition and emotion, which means that whatever you consistently think about while feeling a strong emotion eventually becomes your identity. And this is why Bob Proctor taught that you do not get what you want in life, but rather you get who you are. Because your subconscious will always work to reproduce the version of yourself that it recognizes as normal. Now, if we look at Neville Goddard's perspective, he described this beautifully when he said to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Because when you emotionally inhabit a future reality, your subconscious begins to accept it as present fact. So manifestation is not about convincing the universe of anything. It is all about convincing your own nervous system that a new way of being is safe and familiar, and most of all, natural. So we're going to take a look at why your thoughts and your emotions and your actions must be all in alignment. And this is one of the most important principles that you are going to learn in manifestation, and that is about being congruent. And if you're not sure what that term means, it simply means that your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions all need to be pointing in the same direction, so there's no conflict. Your thoughts generate electrical signals in the brain, whereas your emotions generate magnetic signals within your body. And together they create a frequency that you will continually broadcast into your environment, even though you are not aware that you are doing this. But here's what this means. If you are saying positive things, but you are feeling doubtful, then your emotional signal is going to dominate your vibration. And if you are visualizing success, but you're acting from fear, then your body is going to communicate uncertainty. So Abraham Hicks actually refers to this as being out of alignment, which simply means that different parts of you are sending conflicting messages. And that could be why your manifestation is being stalled. So if your manifestation is feeling delayed, inconsistent, or even blocked, it's not because something external is resisting you, but because your inner signals are not coherent. The subconscious mind will always follow emotion, which is why repeating affirmations without any feeling just creates a stalled scenario for you. And if you want lasting change, you need to be congruent in all of these areas. So true alignment actually happens when you allow your thoughts to support your elevated emotions, and then let those emotions naturally guide your behavior. so that how you speak, how you move, and how you make decisions all begin reflecting your desired reality and the desired identity that you're trying to strive for. So here's what you want to do. You want to get your thinking and feeling working from the goal backwards. So one of the most powerful shifts that you can make is to stop thinking towards your goal and instead thinking and feeling from your goal. So most people approach manifestation by saying things like, once this happens, then I'm going to be really happy, or I'm going to be really peaceful when this all manifests for me, or I'm going to be rich when this day comes and all my dreams come true. But Neville Goddard taught that you must reverse that order. And you have to start by asking yourself, who would you be if your desire was already fulfilled? How would you carry yourself? What emotional state would actually feel natural to you? And how would you relate to that new life? That's what you want to instill right now. So, for example, if your goal was abundance, then perhaps right now you would need to feel grounded, more relaxed, appreciative, and feel secure in where you are right now in order to manifest that into your dream life. And on the other hand, if you were looking at a goal that involved love, then right now you would need to feel open, connected, and feel emotionally safe. So you have to do that in the present moment. So instead of waiting for circumstances to change and then you react, you actually need to begin practicing those inner states right now, even though the environment does not show you those results. You have to do it without pretending, without forcing, but you would just do it through gentle embodiment. And we talked about this in some of my previous videos. The looping technique is one way that you can get your nervous system familiar with a scenario, and you just loop the scenario over and over again until it starts to feel familiar. So you might want to go back and look for that video. So you begin walking in this life with more presence, speaking with more calm, making decisions from clarity rather than urgency, because once you feel urgent, you're going to blow your frequency apart. So if you repeatedly do this, something remarkable is going to happen inside of your brain. And that's where Dr. Joe Dispenza explains that every time you choose a new thought and combine it with a new elevated emotion, you will activate new neural circuits in your brain. And when those circuits are activated consistently, then they become new neural pathways. And that is all rewiring your brain. So you can do it even if you have instilled habits, you can still build these new connections. So old patterns that were based on fear or lack or limitation, they will start to slowly weaken when you're not using them. And your new pathways that you're giving the most attention to will start to create these new pathways, and it will be built on confidence and abundance. And your trust will get stronger and stronger because these new connections will get used to wiring and firing together as you stay consistent. So over time, your future starts feeling familiar and starts feeling normal. And that's what you need to do in order to get your manifestations jump started again. So just to clarify, when something feels normal to your brain and your nervous system, then that's where the force gets eliminated because it just automatically accepts that this is okay. So you will just naturally move towards your goal because you have taught your brain and your body to accept this new reality before it arrives. So this process that we're talking about will lead you towards greater emotional stability, clearer decision making, reduce self-sabotage, which can be a very bad point to go through. You will also have increased creativity, a deeper state of inner safety because you are no longer waiting for your life to change because you've already made the changes internally. So you are becoming before you're manifesting. So this is all about getting your thoughts right first. And this is the next section that we're going to discuss because once you understand these principles, the next step is just learning to manage your inner world in real time and doing it in the present moment. So everything is going to begin with your thinking. That's where we want to start. So your thoughts will become beliefs, your beliefs become your new identity, and your identity is going to shape your experiences. So it does become essential to start noticing the conversations that you are having with yourself throughout your entire day. Just be aware of what you are talking about in your internal mind. So what do you automatically assume about money? What do you assume about your relationships, opportunities, or your own worth? These are things that you have to take notice of because these are your limiting beliefs. Abraham Hicks reminds us that our primary work is never effort. It is all about alignment, and alignment begins with awareness. There's nowhere else that you can start. Another crucial area is that you don't want to try and wait for your new life to arrive before you allow yourself to feel good. You need to just start practicing the feeling of peace or fulfillment or gratitude even while your circumstances are catching up, because as you remember from other videos, the world is just an echo. So what is playing out in your experience right now is just what has manifested from your previous thoughts. So it's going to take a little bit of time to catch up. But your identity has to be installed in the present moment in order for the world to echo that new identity. So real mastery is learning how to remain emotionally steady even when your external circumstances have not changed yet, or if the environment you're in is chaotic. When you can just hold the feeling, if you use gratitude, that's the easiest one. If you just look around and try to find things that you appreciate while things are still unfolding for you, then you can learn to feel calm, even though uncertainty exists. And as you remain grounded while you're waiting, then you can demonstrate that your identity has actually shifted before the reality kicks in. Now, the next point that I'm going to make is extremely important. So I want you to try to grasp onto what I'm saying here. And we're going to talk about why broadcasting lack is keeping you stuck. So every time, no matter the topic, every time you complain or you worry or you focus on what is missing in your life, you are vibrating the frequency of lack. And so you might not know what I'm talking about, but if you catch yourself saying statements like, I just need this one thing to manifest and then I will relax. Or I have been trying for so long, nothing ever works out for me. I don't have enough. I want it now. And I am tired of waiting. Even subtle phrases, if you catch yourself saying, I hope, or I'll believe it when I see it, those communicate absence to the universe. And the universe does not just respond to your words alone. It responds to your overall state of being. So that's what we're talking about when we are talking about identity. So if you're saying the right words, but you're feeling totally different on the inside or having doubts, that's where you're sending those conflicting messages. So every time that you speak from a place of lack, you are just reinforcing the lack. And the universe will just keep giving you scenarios that talk about lack in your life. And it will show you experiences to keep you in that until you get over the hump. Bob Proctor actually explained that your paradigm itself must actually change before your results can appear. Because whatever you have for a habitual way of thinking, that is going to determine what you are allowing in your life. So if you are allowing people to come into your existence and gossip or just complain about the government or worry about what's going to happen in our world, that paradigm is not going to give you the results that you perhaps want. And when Neville Goddard emphasized this concept, he just said every time that you hope, you're actually just keeping your experiences in the future. And if you were to change that to assumption, then you can bring it into your present moment. Now, we just talked briefly about how your words matter, but your words are not just the ones that are spoken. They're actually your thoughts too. And if you're talking words or if you're talking thoughts, they actually carry emotional energy. And each time you speak, or think for that matter, your subconscious mind is listening and it's adjusting itself accordingly. So sometimes we just don't know what's going on in the background, which brings us back to Abraham Hicks's reminder that everything starts with awareness. So instead of trying to say, I'm trying to manifest this, then maybe just switch your wording and say, I'm allowing this to come into my life. Or instead of saying, this is hard, then you might say, this is unfolding for me right now. Or another way you might put it is, I don't know how, but I know it's being handled. So these small shifts will gradually reshape how your nervous system interprets reality. So language can contribute to your perception, but your perception is what is creating your experience. So your worldview and the way your identity reacts to your environment is actually creating every experience that is coming into your life. And you might ask, when bad things happen, how that relates to things. Well, sometimes you are putting an energetic vibe out that you just want more suffering. So the universe obliges and it gives you more suffering. But then you also have to realize too that other people are also broadcasting their own emotional states. So it is possible when you have people close in your life that emotional states can sometimes interfere with the path that you're going on. So if something detrimental happens within your family, it's not to say that you per se have caused that, but somebody in the realm may have been on a bad frequency. So it is responding, but all you can do, you cannot control other people's behaviors or thoughts. You only need to worry about what you personally are broadcasting. And as you've seen in other videos of mine, there's one about the collective consciousness. Unfortunately, when you have billions of people all with their own individual minds, we do have a collective consciousness that is shaping our reality on a world front or on an earth front. So I want you to just step away from that right now. What we are talking about here is all about your own personal reality. And that's what we're working on, because you are the only person in this entire world that you can change directly. So let's start there. And that just brings me into my next section, and that is all about releasing control and choosing peace. So doubt is something that's going to arise at all times. And when it does, it's not something that you need to resist or fight against. It's simply an invitation to you to soften, to breathe more deeply, and return to the present moment where you are safe. Abraham Hicks teaches that resistance is what slows everything down. And resistance often appears as trying to control outcomes, trying to control other people, or especially trying to control timing. This constant effort to manage external circumstances is what creates suffering in most of humanity. Instead of using your willpower to control your own life, you find that you are using your willpower to regulate your inner state. So your only real job in this entire manifestation process is to feel good as often as possible. And Abraham Hicks says that over and over again. And if you can master just that one point, you are going to see changes in your personal reality. So it's not about avoiding reality that's maybe currently going on, but it's more about trying to choose peace instead of pushing against pressure, or showing trust instead of building up tension within yourself. And of course, it's more about presence rather than projecting your emotional state out into the world. So surrender never means giving up. It only means that you're releasing attachment to how things must unfold, because we don't know exactly how it's going to unfold, because that's not our job. And all this is about simply allowing life to meet you where you are right now. And if you can just release the reins a little bit and let life take you where it wants you to go in a peaceful manner, then you are going to find happier times coming on the horizon. So I just want to, before I close off, I just want to bring everything that I've talked about, bring it together a little bit. And the manifestation process is absolutely not about chasing your dreams. Sometimes we use that phrase, and I know I've used that phrase to other people just in a cliche kind of way. But manifestation is never about chasing. It's actually just becoming aligned to your dreams and letting them come to you. So you want to unify your conscious thoughts with your subconscious emotions, allowing your thinking and your feeling and your actions to move together, and practicing these emotional states of your identity. So from here on in, it's all about choosing the right words that reflect abundance, releasing the habit of broadcasting lack. You need to try and stop doing that immediately. And over and over and over again, return to that inner peace, and that will help stabilize your nervous system. So, as Neville Goddard taught, it's all about living in the end. And as Abraham Hicks said, you must stay in alignment. And how Dr. Joe Dispenza, he shows us rewire your brain with new thoughts and elevated emotions to make a new identity. And of course, we cannot forget about Bob Proctor. He said, become the person who already has what you desire. So your dream life is not something you pursue. It is something you embody. And when you change who you are, the world has no choice but to change with you. So if you like this video, please subscribe, as we're going to keep talking about this topic. Give it a like and even share it if you know somebody that it might benefit. And I will see you in the next video with Sanctuary for the Mind. Thank you.